Welcome, fight fans. In today's video, we're taking a deeper dive into the fighting history of the GOAT we know as Jon Jones. So sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Jon Jones just shook the MMA world with one cryptic message, hinting that his next fight might be his last. From legendary knockouts to unforgettable rivalries and career-defining scandals, we're diving deep into the legacy of the man many call the greatest fighter of all time. Is this the end of Jon Bones Jones, or is one final war still on the horizon? To understand the weight of this moment, we need to go back to where it all started. This isn't just another fighter calling it quits. This is Jon Bones Jones, the youngest champion in UFC history, one of the most dominant forces MMA has ever seen, and one of its most controversial. Jon Jones made his UFC debut on short notice in 2008. He was raw, flashy, and immediately different. Spinning elbows, unpredictable footwork, and insane athleticism. It didn't take long for fans to realize they were watching something special. He stacked early wins over guys like Stephan Bonner and Jake O'Brien. And though his only official loss came in 2009 via disqualification against Matt Hamill, it was a fight he was dominating. That loss? A technicality. Even Dana White called it garbage. In 2011, Jones made history. At just 23 years old, he destroyed Mauricio Shogun Rua to become the youngest UFC champion ever. That night at UFC 128 wasn't just a win, it was a coronation. Jones wasn't just beating legends, he was dismantling them. He took out Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort, and Chael Sonnen, all former champions, all left in the dust. He was a new kind of fighter, longer, faster, more creative, and more composed than anyone the division had ever seen. But the first real test of his reign came in 2013 against Alexander Gustafsson. No one expected the Swede to push Jones the way he did. 4 or 5 brutal rounds at UFC 165, the two men waged war. Jones won by decision, but for the first time, he looked human. That fight became an instant classic and opened the door to the idea that maybe, just maybe, Jones could be beaten. Enter Daniel Cormier. A former Olympic wrestler with an undefeated record and a chip on his shoulder, DC was everything Jones wasn't: disciplined, controlled, and deeply principled. Their rivalry ignited into one of the ugliest and most personal feuds in UFC history. Brawls at press conferences, heated interviews, and pure hatred on display. When they finally met at UFC 182, it was Jones who came out on top, handing Cormier his first loss. But just as his greatness was peaking, the scandals began. In 2015, Jones was stripped of his title after a hit-and-run involving a pregnant woman. He was suspended indefinitely, and the UFC made it clear no one was above the law, not even the champ. This was the beginning of a chaotic period that saw Jones lose and regain his title multiple times, not because of losses in the cage, but because of legal troubles and failed drug tests. He tested positive for banned substances ahead of UFC 200, derailing his rematch with Cormier. When they finally met again at UFC 214, Jones knocked DC out cold, but the win was overturned after another failed test. At this point, fans were divided. Was Jones the GOAT, or just another cheater? Some called him a disgrace. Others said his in-cage dominance couldn't be denied. In 2018, Jones returned to face Gustafsson in a rematch. This time, there was no question. Jones dominated and reclaimed the title. Then came Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominic Reyes. More title defenses, more wins, but cracks began to show. He narrowly escaped with a split decision against Santos and a highly controversial unanimous decision against Reyes. Many believed Reyes had done enough to win, but just as quickly as Jones had returned, he was gone again. In 2020, he vacated the light heavyweight title, citing pay disputes and a desire to move up to heavyweight. For 3 years, he bulked up, trained in silence, and let the division evolve without him. Then in 2023, he came back. UFC 285. Cyril Gane. The critics said Jones had been out too long, that heavyweight was a different beast. But once again, Jones proved them wrong. He submitted Gane in the first round, barely breaking a sweat. 3 years gone, and still the king. Now holding the heavyweight belt, Jones was scheduled to fight Stipe Miocic, widely regarded as the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. But an injury forced him out of the bout, and in his absence, Tom Aspinall rose through the ranks, capturing the interim title with a brutal knockout of Sergey Pavlovich. Here's a total breakdown of Jones's fighting history. Total fights, 29. 27 wins, 10 by knockout or TKO, 7 by submission, 10 by decision. One loss versus Matt Hamill, 2009. Disqualified for illegal elbows while dominating the fight. Widely regarded as a controversial and technical loss. One no contest versus Daniel Cormier, UFC 214. Originally a KO win for Jones, later overturned to a no contest due to a failed drug test. Despite the lone DQ, Jon Jones remains unbeaten in terms of actual in-cage performance. No opponent has ever truly defeated him under normal scoring or stoppage conditions. His record is one of the strongest arguments in favor of him being the MMA GOAT. Now, in 2025, Jon Jones has posted what might be his farewell message. In it, he thanks the fans, reflects on his journey, and leaves the door just barely open with 5 words: "The best is yet to come." So what does that mean? Is he walking away after fighting Stipe? Is Tom Aspinall his real final opponent? Or is this just another chapter in the endless Jon Jones saga? Let's talk legacy. Statistically, Jones is unmatched. Youngest champion. Most title defenses in light heavyweight history. Wins over nearly every elite fighter of his generation. A 2-division champion. His resume is a mile long. But it's not just about numbers. It's about moments. Choking out Machida and letting him fall to the canvas. Out-wrestling Cormier. Surviving Vitor Belfort's armbar. Submitting Gain after a 3-year layoff. These are moments that define greatness. And yet, the controversies can't be ignored. The arrests. The suspensions. The failed tests. The chaotic personal life. There's a reason fans call him the greatest talent in MMA, and also the sport's greatest liability. Backstage, Jones' career is littered with run-ins and rivalries. Dana White has both praised and punished him. Fighters like Israel Adesanya, Chael Sonnen, and Anthony Smith have taken shots at him. His beef with Cormier remains one of the nastiest in MMA history. Even now, Cormier refuses to fully acknowledge Jones as the GOAT. And then there's Tom Aspinall. Young, explosive, and hungry. Aspinall is everything fans want in the next generation of heavyweight kings. And he wants Jones. Bad. A fight between Jones and Aspinall would be monumental. Old guard versus new blood. Legacy versus destiny. For Jones, it would be the ultimate test and the ultimate finale. For Aspinall, it would be the coronation. So what's next? If Jones does fight Stipe and retires, his legacy is safe, but maybe not complete. If he takes on Aspinall and wins, he silences every doubt. But if he loses, that's the risk that makes legends. Either way, Jon Jones is already a once-in-a-generation talent. Whether he rides off into the sunset or steps into the cage one last time, one thing is certain. We'll never see another Jon Jones. And maybe, just maybe, the best really is yet to come. Whether you love him or hate him, Jon Jones has left an undeniable mark on the sport of MMA. With a career full of triumphs, controversies, and comebacks, his next move could cement his legacy forever. So, is retirement really the next chapter? Or will we see him clash with Tom Aspinall in a battle for the ages? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, you will like what YouTube is recommending right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss what's next in the world of MMA.